just when you thought it was safe to get back in the water, here we have another ABS master. This is a thumb turn version. There's the key, and you can see again, as per the video yesterday, we've got one, by the looks of it, zero lift on there, and we've certainly got one, if not more, maximum lift. And obviously we got the cuts in between. So let's just see, based on the feedback that we discussed yesterday, let's just see how this one picks. So here we have that spring tension that I was talking about yesterday. When you pop the pick in, there's a spring on the back of that cam that's engaging, and you have to kind of hold the pick in to keep it there. So let's just move this pick wire backwards and forwards and see if it tells us anything about the lock. So as I move backwards and forwards, you can see that it's actually stopping there on pin 3. Almost now, I'm not actually doing that, that's actually catching. Top of all the other pins are okay, and it just catches on top of pin 3. Let's look at the key. Guess what? Pin 3 is the zero lift pin, and it's also probably going to be the torpedo pin in this case. So we'll see when we get to that how that's going to pick. So let's start on pin 6. There's a click on pin 6. Let's try pin 5. So 6 made a click, 5 clicked. Let's try 4. There's a click on 4. 3, which we thought was the zero lift. If I pop the pick on top of that, it's absolutely solid and it's obstructing the pick. But beyond a shadow of a doubt, that's going to be the zero lift. That's probably going to be the torpedo pin as well. Now this is another good sign. I've got to pin 2 and I can hardly get the tip over the top of pin 2. So obviously the core's rotated a bit and the pins are binding towards this, towards the back of the lock. Let's give this let's see if we can set pin 2. There's a click on 2 there. And pin 1 now is going to be really bound. Let's give that a, it's very much bound. Giving it a turn. There we go. Right, I've caught that because what I wanted to do was pick up the cam, and as you can see there on the thumb turn, the cam's turning in the background. So keeping that pressure on, we'll spin it the 360, and there we go, the lock is open, and the feedback that it gave us was consistent with the findings from yesterday. Right, let's do another one. So here I am with another one. This is a short lock. I believe this is a 30-30, so this is different from the other locks. If you look when I pop the pin in, the key in, you can see that pin 1 on the key doesn't actually go into the lock. There is no pin 1. So there's only 5 pins on this, plus the floating pin at the back. So we immediately know that we're not going to have to pick that one. And if we look at the key, again, we've got a zero lift there on, it looks like position 4, and we've got a maximum lift there in position 6, or in this case it would be position 3 and 5. So let's pop the pick in. Overcome that spring pressure on the cam. Just apply a bit of tension. Let's just push the pick in. Can you see that? The pick is getting caught on pin 4. And then if we go beyond that, so 6 and 5, get to 4, it's getting caught, go beyond 4, and it's moving freely. So you can see there that that's going to tell me immediately that the zero lift torpedo pin is in position 4. So let's have a go at picking this. So we'll start from the position 6, because they seem to always bind from the back of the lock at the moment. Anyway, all the locks that I picked seem to bind from the back towards the front. So we'll pick pin 5 effectively. It's given me lots of binding, and there we go. It's given me a click, and it's gone quite some way before it clicked. So that's very clearly probably going to be the deepest, sorry, the shallowest cut on the key, or the deepest pin. Right, next one, pin 5. What I'm doing is I'm just modulating the turning force on the tension arm and applying a bit of pressure on top of the pin, just to see if we can coax it into setting, because at the moment that's absolutely solid. Okay, I'm just letting a bit of tension off, still pressing down on that pin. It's still not moving. That's interesting. Okay, so now that's moved. What's interesting about that actually is that's jumped, and can you now see nothing there at all? I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say that pin 5 is potentially the torpedo pin on this one, because that's exactly how they work. There's very little feedback, and then suddenly they let go, and then you have this. As you can see, there's nothing there. It's just turned to its maximum. Let's reset the lock. Let's go back to 6, set pin 6, which was a really deep one. There. Pin 5 we'll skip for now. Pin 4 I think was the zero lift pin, so we'll skip that one too. Let's go to pin 3. There's a click on pin 3 there. Let's go to pin 2, or in this case it's going to be pin 1, because it's only a 5-pin lock. 6 pins including the floating pin at the back. That's bound really nicely. I'm turning it. There. Well, look at that. That's really interesting. So so we've got the lock. And what's interesting about that is if we look at the key, you can see that it was suggesting here that pin, the second pin in that I said was a torpedo pin, is actually being lifted by the key, but I didn't have to lift it at all to pick that lock. But the feedback that it was giving me was telling me that let's try it one more time. Let's just pick that one pin. Let's go for the pin 6 first. So set that deep set one, and then we go to 5. It did just give me a little click actually, but not a lot. And now if I press that harder, it's solid. And if you watch, if I back the tension off, there, it's let go. And can you see now there's nothing there at all? So let's go back and we'll start on 6. Let's click on 6, we'll go to 5. And I think just moving the pick over the top of that pin's actually set it, which is interesting. 4 is the zero lift. 3 is just, there we go, click on 3. A little bit more on 3 needed, I think. There's a second click. And there's the first pin. Okay, let's go back. 6 is set. 5 has just made a click, but it's a very, very small movement on 5. We'll skip over the top of 4. There's 3. There we go. And pin 1 now is completely bound. So this does kind of tell me everything I need to know about how to pick this lock, based on the little adventure we had yesterday looking at the pins. So I'm now on pin 1 in the lock. Just apply some force to that, and there we go, we got the lock. So yeah, that's another one. That's only a 5 pinner, and that picked pretty much as expected. Let's get the pick out. I am finding removing this pick sometimes a little tedious. This little button here sticks up marginally, and it's getting caught on the key pins as it comes out. But it does come out if you wiggle it. Right, let's do another one. So this lock has been causing me all sorts of grief. It's a short version, so there's only 5 pins that we need to pick, 6 if you want to include that floating element. When I put the pick in, if I just run the wire up and down the lock, you can see that it's jamming on pin 5. And so pin 5 is the zero lift with the torpedo pin. And if we pull the pick out, the rest of the lock feels pretty much free. So pin 1 in this lock is a zero lift as well, and that's where my problem is basically, because when I'm setting the pins and moving the pick tip over the top of that zero lift pin, it's actually pushing it down too far, and it's oversetting it. So let's just see if we can get an open on this. So let's do that's effectively pin 2. Reset the lock. There's a click on pin 2. There's a click on 3. Over the top of 4, because we know that's zero lift without setting anything. Being a torpedo pin, I know that that's actually not going to take much to knock that below the shear line. And you can see that the picking tip is having right old trouble getting over that. Let's go to this last pin. See if we can get a click on that. Yeah, there's a click on that. Back over the torpedo. Really tight. There we go. There's 4. There's 3. And then we just got this pin 2 at the front here, which is the zero lift. And I can't get the pick tip over it, because if I try and get the pick tip over it, it will overset the pins. But anyway, let's just see if I can nudge this back just enough to get the lock open. There we go. Okay, and we've got the cam there. We can obviously push this all the way around. There we go. That lock's picked. But if the bitting on this key positioned that second zero lift pin anywhere else other than the front there, I would have been in deep trouble, because you wouldn't be able to navigate over the top of it backwards and forwards without potentially oversetting it, and that would then mean that this lock would never be opened. So yeah, I have been trying to pick this one for quite a while, probably about an hour, before I worked out what was going on there. So if that was in any other position, I don't think I'd be able to open it with this pick. Not without modifying maybe the tip of the pick tip, and seeing whether we could make it just slightly narrower, file it smaller, do something, but not without compromising it. Okay, right, that only leaves one more to pick. So this is the last lock. There's the key. Let's pop the pick in. Let's have a explore. Pick is being obstructed by pin 4. So pin 4 is going to be our zero lift torpedo. Let's start on pin 6. Let's have a listen to the feedback. There's a little click on 6. Let's go to 5. Little click on 5. We'll ignore 4 because that's a zero lift. Pin 3 is hard to get over the top of. Let's see if we can just, there we go, 3. Let's have a listen. Click on 3, 2, 1's hard to get on top of. Let's give pin 1 a turn. As pin 1 has been set, go back again. Can't, there we go. Okay, so the zero lift pin there was obviously not 100% zero lift, it just needed a very slight nudge. There we go. That's the ABS Master Lishi style pick.